Wide poster shot of a lone, gender-neutral figure in an infinite corridor of repeating doors. A jagged crack of golden light slicing the blue to cosmic purple space. Floating white particles and soft volumetric fog. Strong leading lines toward the crack. Shallow DOF. Greenlit silhouette. Minimal scene. Negative space at top. Cinematic contrast. 24mm lens. F divided by 2. Ba. 916. No text. No watermark. Triptych split panel left looping chat bubbles stacked identically. Center digital clock reading 1111 transformed into a glowing caution icon. Right circular road arrows sending the viewer back the way they came. Unified blue-purple palette with gold warning accents. Subtle radial motion blur. Soft white halo lighting. Clean graphic composition. 916. No text beyond clock numerals. No logo. Medium-wide scene of the subject facing a seamless mirror that reflects endless copies of themselves repeating the same gesture. Faint Mobius loop ribbon behind them. Delicate white fractal patterns in the air suggesting the observer effect. Gold highlights extremely subtle on edges. Bluish-purple ambient light. Crisp reflections. Cinematic realism. 35mm lens. F divided by 2. Bar. 916. No text. Symmetrical. Eye-level composition of a floating circular mirror, with 7 faint golden glyphs orbiting its rim. Thin energy threads partially tangled and beginning to loosen. Soft white rim light and particle sparkle. Deep blue to violet gradient background. Serene, yet powerful mood. Minimal props. Shallow DOF. 50mm lens. 916. No text. Over the shoulder. Close shot of a hand paused above an endless scrolling feed, abstracted into soft rectangles. A single golden thread gently pulling the wrist away from a swirling blue-purple vortex. Whisper-like white glow around the thread. Motion frozen at the decisive moment. Clean negative space for CTA. Cinematic lighting. 85mm lens. F divided by 2. 916. No text. No branding. Have you ever felt that eerie moment when you walk into a place, hear a phrase, or meet someone, and your whole body whispers, "I've lived this exact moment before"? That's déjà vu. But when it starts happening over and over, it's not just a brain glitch. It's a signal that you are caught inside an observer loop. Most people dismiss déjà vu as a trick of memory, a random misfiring of neurons. But quantum physics and ancient mystics point to something deeper. Déjà vu is a glimpse of timeline collapse. In that instant, you're touching the overlap between multiple probability fields, and when the same déjà vu repeats, it means your consciousness keeps collapsing into the same timeline instead of shifting into a new one. Think of reality like a hallway with infinite doors. Each door is a potential future, waiting for you to choose. But when you keep choosing the same door unconsciously, you begin to experience déjà vu not as coincidence, but as evidence. It's your quantum field whispering, "You've been here before." You're circling the same path. The real question isn't, "Why does this happen?" The real question is, why do you keep choosing the same outcome? The observer effect says that what you focus on becomes your lived reality. So if you keep feeding attention into the same emotions, the same beliefs, the same fears, you'll keep collapsing into the same timeline. And déjà vu will follow you like a shadow. But here's the hidden gift: every déjà vu is also a wake-up call. It's not there to trap you, it's there to remind you that a new choice is possible. Your loop is visible, and once seen, it can be broken. Have you noticed how the same struggles keep showing up, no matter how many times you think you've moved on? The relationship that looks different at first but ends with the same heartbreak. The new job that eventually feels like the last one. The financial struggle that repeats in slightly altered forms. This isn't bad luck. This is the observer loop in action. Here's the truth. Your outer world is not repeating you. Your inner frequency is. Through the observer effect, your consciousness unconsciously selects the same vibrational template again and again. You think you're making new choices? But if your state of being doesn't shift, the quantum field delivers the same storyline dressed in new costumes, It's like watching different actors perform the same script. The scenery changes, the faces change, but the emotional outcome remains identical. And you wonder, why am I here again? That question itself is proof that your awareness is circling the same loop. The hidden mechanism is simple, but powerful energy attracts resonance. If your dominant vibration is fear of abandonment, you collapse timelines where abandonment repeats. If your frequency is scarcity, you collapse timelines where scarcity appears, no matter how hard you try to fix it externally. But here's the awakening shift. These repeating patterns aren't punishments. They are mirrors, designed to expose what frequency you've been unconsciously embodying. And once you recognize the pattern, you've already loosened its grip. The loop doesn't exist to trap you. It exists to show you what you're ready to transcend. The moment you choose to embody a new frequency, the script dissolves. Reality changes when your energy changes first. Have you ever felt like days pass, weeks disappear, yet nothing really changes? You wake up, go through the motions, and suddenly realize that an entire month has slipped by without meaningful progress. This isn't laziness. This is a symptom of being locked in an observer loop. Time itself doesn't freeze. What freezes is your frequency. When your consciousness stays anchored in the same emotional state, the quantum field delivers the same version of reality day after day. From the outside, it looks like time is moving forward, but internally, you're standing still. Quantum researchers call this a frequency lock. Your vibration gets stuck, and so your timeline repeats. It's like your consciousness is pressing pause on the movie of your life, while the clock keeps ticking. The illusion of movement hides the truth of stagnation. You may notice this especially during routines. Work feels repetitive. Conversations echo past ones. Even your inner thoughts replay the same scripts. And deep inside, you feel that strange heaviness. I'm not really moving anywhere. That sensation is not imagination. It's your higher self alerting you that you're circling the same track in the quantum field. Here's the hidden key. Time doesn't change, frequency does. When you shift your emotional and energetic state, time responds. Hours expand into timeless flow when you're aligned. Weeks compress into breakthroughs when your vibration rises. The frozen feeling is not punishment. It's guidance. It's the universe telling you, stop waiting for time to change. Change your frequency, and time will rearrange. You are not stuck in time. You are stuck in vibration, and vibration can shift instantly. At first, synchronicities feel magical. You see repeating numbers, meet the right person at the right time, or stumble onto information you needed. It feels like the universe is guiding you forward. But when those synchronicities begin to circle back, showing the same numbers, the same patterns, the same coincidences, again and again, they are no longer confirmations. They are warnings. This is what happens in an observer loop. Instead of synchronicity opening new doors, it starts to mirror the old ones. The same signs repeat until you finally realize you're not moving into new territory. You're replaying the same script. Quantum mechanics explains this as a feedback loop. Your observation keeps energizing the same probability field, so reality responds with repetitive signals. Think of it like the GPS in your car stuck on a single destination. No matter how many times you restart the engine, it keeps recalculating the same route. You might notice 111 flashing every day, but instead of feeling like alignment, it feels like a reminder you're standing still. You may meet new people who resemble old patterns in disguise. You may hear the same phrases echo through conversations, as if the universe is pressing replay. The hidden gift is that these repetitive synchronicities are not punishing you, they're guiding you. They're the universe's way of saying, pay attention. Your awareness is stuck. It's time to break the cycle. When synchronicities shift from confirmation to repetition, that's the signal your loop has become visible. The signs don't just confirm your path, they reveal when you're circling the same one. Have you ever caught yourself feeling like life is a movie and you're just watching it play out? You're present, yet somehow distant like the actor and the audience at the same time. This strange detachment is not apathy. It's the observer loop taking control. When you're locked in the loop, a part of your awareness stands outside your own life. You notice yourself going through routines, speaking familiar words, even reacting in predictable ways, and it all feels scripted. Deep down, you sense I'm not fully living, I'm just observing myself live. Quantum consciousness calls this split awareness. One layer of your mind is acting, while another layer is passively watching. Instead of merging into the flow of experience, you become a spectator. And when you're only spectating, your consciousness can't collapse new possibilities. It just reinforces the same old track. This state can feel safe at first. By staying detached, you avoid risks, disappointments, or painful surprises. But safety quickly becomes stagnation. The more you observe yourself without engaging, the more you feed the loop. The hidden key is this awareness was never meant to split. It was meant to embody. Life doesn't shift when you sit in the audience. It shifts when you step back onto the stage and play differently. If you've been feeling like an outsider in your own story, recognize this as a wake-up sign. You're not meant to keep watching from the outside. You break the loop the moment you stop spectating and start embodying. Have your dreams been looping lately? Do you keep finding yourself back in the same school, the same house, the same city, or facing the same person night after night? These aren't random images. They're quantum signals that your subconscious is reflecting the observer loop you haven't yet broken. Dreams are not just meaningless noise. They are portals into the quantum field where your consciousness rehearses possibilities. When the same dream repeats, it means your system is stuck processing the same frequency over and over. Instead of exploring new probability streams, your awareness is circling the old ones. Quantum mystics call this a dream timeline echo. It's like a hologram of your waking loop projected into the dream state. The dream repeats because your energy hasn't shifted enough to create a new script. Think of it this way: in waking life, your mind might deny the repetition. You convince yourself things are different. But in your dreams, there's no filter. The subconscious shows the truth directly. You are replaying the same cycle. But here's the gift hidden in those dreams. They're not punishing you. They're rehearsals. They're opportunities to notice what's repeating, to confront the pattern without distraction. Once you wake up and recognize the echo, you gain the power to shift it. Pay attention to your repeating dreams. They are not random. They are invitations. Each one is a doorway to awareness, a chance to rewrite the loop from the inside out. When the dream shifts, the waking reality follows. Have you ever achieved something you thought would change everything, only to feel the same emptiness afterward? You get the promotion, move into the new house, buy the car, or enter the new relationship. For a moment, there's excitement, but quickly, it fades. And beneath the surface, you whisper to yourself, why does it still feel the same? This is one of the clearest signs of the observer loop. Outwardly, you may be making progress. But inwardly, your frequency hasn't shifted, so instead of entering a new timeline, you're just rearranging the scenery of the old one. The costumes change, the stage changes, but the story plays the same. Quantum consciousness describes this as the illusion of progress. You keep moving, but in circles. Like walking on a treadmill, you burn energy, you sweat. But the landscape never changes. And the déjà vu of emotion, disappointment, boredom, frustration reminds you that you're not actually evolving. This emptiness is not failure, it's feedback. It's your higher self telling you, external upgrades don't matter unless your inner frequency upgrades too. If the same vibration of scarcity, fear, or self-doubt remains, the new reality will simply mirror it back. Here's the hidden key. True quantum progress is never about what you acquire. It's about what you embody. The promotion only transforms you if you embody worthiness. The relationship only elevates you if you embody love. The new path only feels alive if you embody presence. So the next time progress feels hollow, don't despair. See it as your invitation. The loop is showing you that it's not more doing, but more being that shifts reality. You don't break the loop by chasing more. You break it by embodying different. There is a heaviness that comes when life begins to feel like a loop. It's not just the boredom of routine, it's a deeper sense that every action, no matter how new, somehow leads back to the same place. You feel like you've been here before, not just once, but countless times. That weight pressing on your chest is the signature of the observer loop. When consciousness keeps choosing the same vibrational path, the universe mirrors it back endlessly. You meet different faces, but repeat the same arguments. You enter new opportunities, but encounter the same frustrations. Even joy feels recycled, short-lived, like echoes of moments you've already lived. Quantum consciousness identifies this as reality echoes vibrations that bounce back until you finally shift your inner frequency. Imagine shouting into a canyon. The echo keeps returning, softer each time, but always familiar. Life does the same. Until you change the original sound, the vibration you keep hearing yourself on repeat. This repetition is not punishment, it's feedback. Your higher self is giving you chance after chance to notice the pattern, to see the script, to awaken from the trance. Every repeated event is another mirror saying, "Do you see it yet? Will you choose differently this time?" The weight of repetition can feel unbearable, but within it lies the doorway to liberation. The heaviness is not there to crush you, it's there to slow you down, to make you pay attention, to urge you into awareness. The moment you recognize the echo, you stop being trapped by it. Recognition is the first step toward freedom. One of the strangest signals of being stuck in an observer loop is the way time itself begins to feel distorted. Hours can stretch endlessly when nothing seems to move forward, yet entire weeks can vanish without leaving any real imprint. You look back and realize, where did the time go? What actually changed? This is not random. It's the effect of consciousness replaying the same timeline over and over. When your awareness is locked into repetition, your sense of time begins to collapse. You're not truly moving through new experiences. You're reliving old vibrational templates, so time feels hollow. Quantum researchers describe this as temporal stasis. Your vibration holds you in place while the clock keeps ticking. It's like being in a dream where you walk for miles but never leave the room. The illusion of movement hides the truth you're cycling through the same field. You may notice this most in daily routines. Workdays blur together. Conversations echo each other. Even weekends vanish into the same distractions. And deep down, you sense the unsettling truth: linear time is passing, but your inner evolution is paused. But here's the hidden key: time doesn't distort because life is empty. It distorts because your awareness is asking for change. The universe slows down when it needs you to notice the loop. It speeds up when you're avoiding awareness. The distortion is feedback, urging you to step into a new vibration. When you change frequency, time realigns. Flow returns, and the loop begins to dissolve. Here's the secret. Most people never hear the observer. Loop is not just about repetition, it's about addiction. Your consciousness becomes addicted to the familiar vibration, even if it's painful. That's why you keep circling the same reality. The loop doesn't trap you. You trap yourself by unconsciously choosing the same frequency again and again. Quantum mechanics calls this the observer effect. What you observe, you collapse into reality. But the deeper truth is that observation itself is not neutral. It is charged with your emotional state, your beliefs, your energetic signature. If you observe through fear, you collapse fearful outcomes. If you observe through lack, you collapse a scarcity. The loop is not repeating events. It is repeating the vibration you are addicted to. Think of it like a song stuck on repeat. You might hate the tune, but your system has memorized the rhythm. And so, without realizing, you keep pressing play. That's why new jobs feel like old jobs. That's why new partners carry the same wounds. That's why time feels frozen. Déjà vu multiplies, and dreams echo back at you. The hidden truth is this. The loop isn't broken by thinking harder, trying more, or analyzing every detail. That only feeds the cycle. The loop is broken only when you surrender the old frequency completely, when you stop being the observer trapped outside and become the embodiment of a new vibration. This is what mystics call coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and energy align into a new frequency. The moment coherence is achieved, the old loop collapses instantly. Reality reorganizes around the new vibration, and timelines begin to shift, so the question is not, how do I escape? The real question is, what frequency am I still addicted to, and am I willing to let it go? The loop ends the moment you stop observing from the old self and start embodying the new self. Every loop has a price, and the longer you stay inside it, the more it drains you. You may not see it immediately, but the cost of staying in the observer loop shows up in subtle yet undeniable ways. The first cost is time. Weeks blur into months, and months dissolve into years, yet the story doesn't evolve. You look back and realize that despite all your efforts, you've been circling the same ground. That is time you can never reclaim. The second cost is energy. Repetition is exhausting. Even when events look different on the surface, your body and emotions carry the weight of déjà vu. You feel drained not because life is hard, but because life is redundant. The third cost is potential. Every time you collapse the same frequency, you lock yourself out of infinite possibilities. The doors are there, wide open, but your attention keeps walking through the same one. Potential futures go unexplored, and your higher self watches patiently, waiting for you to choose differently. And perhaps the greatest cost is identity. The longer you remain in the loop, the more you mistake the loop for who you are. You begin to believe, this is just my life. This is just who I am. But that belief is the heaviest chain of all. It keeps you blind to the truth, that reality is fluid, that you were never meant to repeat endlessly. The loop is not evil. It's simply merciless. It consumes your time, your energy, your potential, and your sense of self until you awaken. That is the cost of unconsciousness. But awareness shifts everything. The moment you see the cost, you reclaim the power to stop paying it. You cannot afford to keep renting the same timeline. It's time to own a new one. When most people realize they're stuck in a pattern, their first instinct is to think their way out. They analyze, overanalyze, and create endless strategies, new routines, new affirmations, new plans. But the observer loop cannot be escaped with thought alone. Why? Because thought itself is part of the loop. Your mind is designed to recognize patterns. That's its brilliance, but also its trap. The same analytical engine that helps you survive also keeps you repeating. Every time you think harder, you are still using the same frequency of awareness that created the loop in the first place. You're rearranging the furniture inside the cage, not opening the door. This is why so many self-help attempts fail. You buy the book, take the course, follow the steps. For a while, it feels fresh. But soon, the same feelings return. The same outcomes reappear, and you wonder, what's wrong with me? Why can't I break free? Nothing is wrong with you. The problem is the method. Quantum reality doesn't respond to overthinking. It responds to embodiment. The loop isn't broken by adding more information to the mind. It's broken when you shift the vibration of your entire being. When your body, emotions, and energy field align differently, thought naturally follows, but thought is not the driver. Imagine trying to escape a maze by studying the walls. No matter how well you map them, you're still inside. The exit only appears when you step beyond the map and move differently. In the same way, the observer loop dissolves not when you think harder, but when you become different. The secret is coherence, aligning what you feel, believe, and embody Once coherence is present, thought becomes a servant to your new frequency, not a jailer of the old one. You don't outthink the loop, you out-vibrate it. The loop weakens the moment you see it. That is the first step of empowerment awareness. You cannot change what you cannot see, and the observer loop thrives in blindness. It repeats itself silently, hidden in routines, disguised as coincidence, until you finally recognize this isn't random, this is a pattern. Awareness is more than intellectual understanding. It is the sudden clarity that cuts through the fog. Think about the last time you noticed déjà vu, or realized a relationship felt exactly like the last one. That flash of recognition, that's power. Because once you name the loop, you are no longer unconsciously feeding it. Quantum consciousness teaches that observation collapses probability waves. But here's the paradox. When you observe the loop itself, you collapse its power. By bringing awareness to the repeating pattern, you begin to withdraw the energy that keeps it alive. This doesn't mean you need to fix everything at once. Empowerment begins small. It starts when you pause in the middle of an argument and whisper to yourself, "I've lived this before." It starts when you notice your mind telling the same old story, and instead of believing it, you breathe and observe. That pause, that moment of awareness, is the crack in the loop. Through it, light enters. Through it, possibility reappears. So if you've been feeling trapped, remember this truth. You don't have to escape the loop in a single leap. You only need to see it. Awareness itself is liberation beginning. The first key to empowerment is not action, it is recognition. Once you see the loop, the next step is to reclaim the energy it has been feeding on. The observer loop is like a parasite. It survives by consuming your attention, your emotional fuel, your belief in the old story. The more you replay the same thoughts and emotions, the stronger it grows. To reclaim your energy, you must first notice where it leaks. Pay attention to the moments when you feel drained after repeating the same argument, revisiting the same fear, or telling yourself the same limiting belief. Each repetition is an energetic withdrawal, like making a deposit into the bank of the loop. Quantum reality is simple. Energy flows where attention goes. When your attention is locked on frustration, fear, or lack, that is where your energy collapses. But when you consciously redirect your attention toward new states, gratitude, possibility, peace, you begin reclaiming the energy that sustains the loop. This doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means recognizing them as signals. Anger tells you where you gave your power away. Sadness shows you where you're holding on to the past. Anxiety reveals the future you don't want to repeat. By noticing these signals without judgment, you take your energy back. Reclaiming energy is an act of sovereignty. It's declaring, "I will no longer fuel the old script." Every time you redirect your focus to a new vibration, you weaken the loop and strengthen your alignment with freedom. Remember, the loop doesn't collapse when you fight it. It collapses when you starve it. You reclaim your energy the moment you stop feeding the old pattern and start nourishing the new one. Awareness breaks the illusion. Reclaiming your energy starves the loop. But the true transformation begins when you embody a new frequency. This is where liberation shifts from theory into lived reality. To embody means more than thinking differently. It means aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions into the vibration of the reality you want to live. If you want freedom, you must feel free in your body. If you want abundance, you must radiate abundance in your choices. If you want love, you must become love in the way you speak, act, and move. Quantum physics reveals that reality doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to the frequency you broadcast. The universe listens less to your words and more to your state of being. When your frequency shifts, probability fields reorganize instantly. New opportunities, new connections, new synchronicities align with your vibration like iron filings to a magnet. Embodying a new frequency begins with small acts. Choosing gratitude instead of complaint. Breathing deeply instead of spiraling into fear. speaking with kindness instead of repeating old wounds. Each choice is a micro-shift that builds coherence. And here's the secret: embodiment is irreversible. Once you embody a higher frequency, you cannot fully return to the old one. You might slip for a moment, but the resonance of freedom will always call you forward. The loop dissolves not because you fought it, but because you became too aligned with the new to fit inside the old. You don't just step into a new reality, you become it. Every shift demands a sacrifice. To step into a higher frequency, you must release the identity that has been sustaining the loop. This is the hardest part, not because the old self was beautiful, but because it was familiar. The old self is the voice that says, "This is just who I am." It clings to old wounds, old fears, old limitations, because they feel safe. Even pain can become comfortable when it's predictable. That's why so many stay trapped. They mistake familiarity for security. But here is the hidden truth: the old self cannot walk with you into the new timeline. It was built for survival in the loop, not for freedom beyond it. Every time you try to carry it forward, you collapse back into the same reality. Releasing the old self takes courage because it feels like death. And in many ways, it is the death of identities, of labels, of stories that no longer serve you. But what feels like death to the ego is rebirth to the soul. Quantum mystics call this the dissolution, the breaking down of outdated frequencies, so new coherence can emerge. Just like a caterpillar dissolves inside its cocoon, your old self must dissolve so the new one can take flight. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the willingness to walk forward even while fear trembles inside you. And the moment you let go, the loop begins to unravel. Freedom doesn't come from holding tighter. It comes from surrendering who you were to become who you are meant to be. Fear is the final guard at the edge of every loop. Each time you approach change, fear rises to pull you back. Not because danger is real, but because the unknown feels threatening to the part of you addicted to the familiar. Familiar fear whispers, what if you fail? What if they reject you? What if you lose everything? And so, many people retreat into the loop, convincing themselves it's safer to stay where they are. But safety inside the loop is only an illusion. The longer you stay, the more life drains away in repetition. Quantum wisdom shows us that fear is not a wall, it is a threshold. Beyond it lies the timeline you've been asking for. Fear is simply the nervous system's way of saying, you are about to step into a frequency you've never embodied before. To live beyond familiar fear, you don't need to destroy it. You need to walk with it. Fear can come along for the journey, but it cannot drive. Courage is not eliminating fear, it is choosing love, freedom, and possibility even while fear trembles in the background. Each time you step forward despite fear, the loop loses its grip. You begin to realize that fear was never proof of danger, it was proof of transformation. The stronger the fear, the closer you are to breakthrough. Freedom begins on the other side of familiar fear. The moment you step through, the loop dissolves and a new reality unfolds. Breaking the loop is not a single dramatic event. It is a daily choice. Each morning you wake up with two options: to unconsciously replay the old script or to consciously align with a new frequency. That choice may seem small, but repeated daily, it becomes the foundation of transformation. Alignment is not about perfection. It's about intention. Some days you may feel pulled back into fear, scarcity, or doubt. That's normal. The power lies in noticing the pull and gently returning to the vibration you want to embody. Every return strengthens your coherence. Think of it like tuning an instrument. A guitar doesn't stay in tune forever. You adjust it before each performance. Your consciousness is the same. Daily alignment is your way of tuning yourself back to the frequency of freedom, love, and abundance. Simple practices anchor this alignment. Gratitude resets your focus from lack to fullness. Breath brings you back into the present moment where the loop cannot exist. Intentional action, choosing kindness, pausing before reacting. Following inspiration grounds your frequency into reality. Over time, these daily alignments build momentum. What once felt like effort becomes natural. The new frequency stabilizes, and the old loop loses its gravity. Life begins to organize around your coherence, drawing synchronicities and opportunities that match who you've become. The secret is consistency, not intensity. One aligned breath, one aligned choice, one aligned act each day is enough to bend timelines. Every day you choose alignment, you vote for the reality you want to live. Up until now, we've spoken about breaking the loop as a personal journey, but the truth is, your liberation is never just about you. Every shift you make ripples outward into the collective field. When one person steps out of the observer loop, they create a frequency opening that others can sense, feel, and follow. This is because consciousness is not isolated. We exist inside a shared field, woven together like threads in a single tapestry. Mystics call this the morphic field, a living web of awareness, where each individual awakening contributes to the evolution of the whole. When you shift, you are not only freeing yourself, you are weakening the loop for countless others. Think about it when someone around you embodies peace. Doesn't it affect you when a person radiates courage? Doesn't it awaken courage in you? This is how energy spreads not through words, but through coherence. Every aligned being becomes a tuning fork, calling others into resonance. The observer loop thrives when the collective remains asleep, when most people unconsciously recycle the same patterns. But as more individuals awaken, the gravitational pull of the loop weakens. What once felt impossible to escape becomes the natural path forward, because the collective field begins to support liberation instead of resistance. This is why your awakening matters. It is not selfish, it is service. By breaking your loop, you light the way for others still caught in theirs. By embodying freedom, you create a reference point in the field, proving that freedom is possible. You are not just shifting your own timeline, you are participating in a collective timeline shift. And as enough of us break free, the loop dissolves not only for the individual, but for humanity as a whole. Your awakening is a gift to the collective. Each step you take into freedom becomes a bridge for others to follow. If the individual shift is powerful, the collective shift is unstoppable. This is the mystery of collective coherence. When enough people embody a new frequency, the entire field reorganizes around it. What once took decades to evolve can unfold in months, even days, because the weight of consciousness tips the scale. Coherence means alignment. When your thoughts, emotions, and energy align, your personal field stabilizes. But when many people align together, their frequencies weave into a unified resonance that amplifies the signal far beyond what any one person could generate. This is why collective meditation, prayer, or intention can produce measurable effects on the world, lowering violence, increasing harmony, even shifting weather patterns. The observer loop weakens dramatically in the presence of collective coherence. Imagine 1,000 tuning forks vibrating at the same frequency of freedom. This is not force, it is resonance. In the same way, when humanity generates enough coherence in love, peace, and awakening, the loops of fear and scarcity dissolve effortlessly. This is already happening. Around the globe, more people are questioning old systems, releasing inherited beliefs, and seeking alignment with higher consciousness. Each awakening adds to the field. Each act of coherence strengthens the momentum toward collective liberation. The hidden truth is that your private practice, your meditation, your breath, your alignment is never private. It radiates outward. Every moment you embody coherence, you contribute to the stability of the collective field. You may never see the ripples, but they exist. The future is not built by leaders alone. It is built by the coherence of millions choosing to embody freedom together. When coherence becomes collective, the loop of humanity ends and a new reality begins. There comes a moment in every cycle when the momentum can no longer be reversed. For humanity, that moment is approaching, and some would say it has already begun. The observer loop that has held civilizations in patterns of war, scarcity, and separation is weakening. A tipping point is near, where enough individuals awaken to pull the collective into an irreversible shift. This is the power of the quantum field once coherence reaches critical mass. The old structures collapse under their own weight. You can already see it. Systems that once felt immovable are crumbling. Beliefs that once defined generations are dissolving. What is happening is not chaos. It is recalibration. The loop is breaking, not just for you, but for all of us. And here's the truth: awakening is contagious. Each soul who steps into freedom broadcasts a signal that cannot be silenced. That signal ripples across families, communities, and nations. At first it whispers, then it sings, and eventually it becomes a chorus too powerful for the old world to ignore. The irreversible shift is not about escaping Earth or abandoning humanity. It is about birthing a new expression of what humanity can be. A collective aligned in compassion rather than competition, in collaboration rather than control, in awakening rather than amnesia. Yes, there will be resistance. The old loop will fight for survival, just as the old self resists death. But resistance is proof of transformation. The very tension you feel in the world today is the sign that the loop is unraveling. Once enough people embody love, peace, and coherence, there is no going back. The shift is not something you wait for, it is something you become. And when you become it, you anchor it for all. Humanity is crossing the threshold, and so are you. The loop is ending. The shift is irreversible. The new reality has already begun. You have seen the signs. You have felt the weight of repetition. You now understand the hidden truth. The observer loop is not here to punish you. It is here to awaken you. Every déjà vu, every repeating dream, every empty success was never a failure. They were mirrors, signals designed to show you where your energy had been trapped. And now that you see the pattern, you hold the power to break it. Remember, awareness is the first step. Energy reclamation is the second. Embodiment is the key. The loop cannot survive once you stop feeding it with old frequencies. The moment you embody a new vibration, love instead of fear, freedom instead of control, gratitude instead of lack, your reality begins to reorganize. But this is not only about you. Each time you shift, you add your resonance to the collective field. Your courage becomes a beacon. Your freedom becomes a bridge. Your awakening contributes to the irreversible shift already unfolding across humanity. So here is the declaration: you are not stuck. You are not powerless. You are the observer who can choose differently. You are the creator who can collapse new timelines. The loop ends the moment you decide it does. Now is the time to make that choice. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. If these words resonate, speak it, write it, declare it. I choose to break the loop. I choose to embody freedom. My shift is irreversible. And so it is.